Earthling. My name is Madrin Woodwalker. I'm an alien, in case you couldn't tell. I've tried to blend in, see? Wearing Earth clothes, that's why I have this cool hat. And this very Earth cape. I heard all the kids are wearing it nowadays. Take me to your leader.
I don't know the way. I get lost. Why do you want me to take you to my leader?
Why? So they can teach me about life on this strange and weird planet.
I can help you with that.
Are you sure?
Lots of the animals and plants that would have existed long ago would look very different to what exists today.
Who are you looking at?
The first living things were single-celled organisms that existed in the ocean. Plants and animals soon then evolved to live on land. We've had dinosaurs and mammoths and saber-toothed tigers, and birds and elephants and cats.
I don't understand. How do you Earthlings know all this information?
Oh, I actually don't know. And that's where I come in. Sorry. I'm Dr. Paleo. When learning about organisms that are now extinct, we get a lot of our information from fossils. Fossils are the remains of plants, animals, and living things that have turned into rock over time. Like this ammonite here. Fossils can only be made in the right conditions. Usually, only hard stuff like bones survive as fossils. Lots of things do not fossilise. This means learning about these creatures is a bit like doing a jigsaw puzzle when you don't have all the pieces and you don't know what the final picture is meant to look like. As well as bones, you may have fossil footprints, feathers, maybe skin, and even poo! Us paleontologists, we love poo! Because you can learn all about the diet of a creature by examining what they had eaten and pooped out. This here is fish poo. A famous paleontologist is Mary Anning, who collected fossils along the cliff faces in Dorset. Interesting. Very interesting.
But how did these organisms change over time?
First, I'm going to have to explain inheritance. People all have characteristics that make them unique. Face shape, eye colour, hair colour, left or right-handedness, etc.
I have 3 eyes.
I can see that. These traits are often passed from parents to their biological offspring. They get half from each parent in a random combination, which is why they'll be similar, but not identical to their parents or their siblings.
This is making sense. My parents also have 3 eyes and can see into the future.
Wait, you can see into the future?
But I want to know how these traits are passed on.
Well, I mean, that's a bit complicated, but I guess I can give you a bit of extra knowledge. Hello! I'm here to tell you about genes. DNA is found in our cells. It is basically an instruction manual on how to build our body.
Like the instruction manual to... what are those things you Earthlings play with? Lego? Lego!
You could say that, yes. Genes are a specific section of the DNA. They code for proteins, which are the building blocks of your body.
Jeans? Jeans! My favourite Earth trouser. Denim just tastes so good.
What? No. Gene, spelled G-E-N-E. Genes in our DNA match up to characteristics. For example, there may be a gene which determines your eye colour.
Sometimes a characteristic is determined by one gene. Sometimes more than one. And sometimes it is a combination of your genes and the environment you live in. Every person contains genes that have come from their biological parents, half from each. But how does this lead to all these different animals existing?
Well, it makes sense that some characteristics may be more useful than others. Organisms are adapted to survive their unique environments. Adaptations are characteristics that are advantageous. It makes the organisms better suited for where they live. This means they can live in the habitat, escape the predators, catch prey, find a mate, and make offspring, etc., etc. This is why we have such diversity of life, because adaptations will be different depending on which environmental factors the organism experiences. Creatures in the desert need different characteristics to survive than creatures living in a forest. For example, a cactus in the desert is in hot, dry conditions, and it needs water to survive.
This stuff is so refreshing.
The cactus has thin spines instead of flat, wide leaves. This reduces water lost through the leaves. The spines also protect it from being eaten. Its roots don't go deep, but go wide, so it can collect water from a large surface area. It also has a thick stem body to store the water in. A giraffe needs to eat leaves off tall trees that other animals can't reach, because this means there'll be more food and there isn't competition between other species, so it has to have a long neck to reach it.
Adaptation may lead to evolution. Evolution happens over a long time, over many, many different generations of organisms. So within a species, we have organisms which have different traits mixed from their parents. We also have something called mutation. Now, mutation is when the genes in a cell can randomly change when the cell divides. This means sometimes offspring are born with completely new characteristics that their parents didn't have. Because of this, we have variation within the species. Variation just means slight differences between all the different individuals within the species. Only some organisms will have their characteristics that are useful for surviving and reproducing. For example, the long neck adaptation in giraffes. Early giraffes would have had necks of all different lengths. Some had longer necks, some had shorter. The giraffes with the longer necks would have been able to reach the higher up leaves, and therefore eat them and survive, and more likely to reproduce. Their children would also have long necks because they would have inherited this characteristic. The giraffes with shorter necks would not be able to reach the right food, so more giraffes with shorter necks will die. Therefore they will not be making children which have shorter necks. Over many, many years, giraffes with shorter necks would no longer exist. There would only be giraffes with long necks. Sometimes so many changes happen that after millions and millions of years, the new creatures are a completely different species to their ancestors. Hang on, I thought the giraffes' necks got longer because they kept stretching them and stretching them to reach the taller leaves. Lots of people thought that for a while. Now we know changing something after you are born will not affect your children. This is because the environment has caused that change, not your genes. You only pass on your genes, not how the environment has affected you. That's why babies of wrestlers aren't born already full of muscles, or babies of parents with tattoos aren't already inked up. And don't worry, Luke, your kids will still be born with both hands. It's actually nice weather out today. Quite glad I've kept my window open. Hey, I was just thinking you might want to shut your window. No reason, just... No, I'm not going to shut it. Didn't you hear what I just said? It's lovely weather out. It's really warm in here. Do you want to put on a hard hat? There is no reason for me to need a hard hat right now. Get out an umbrella? You do know we're inside right now. Organisms will continue to evolve as long as their environments keep changing and new challenges arise. And the Earth is always changing. This could be due to the continents moving around,
climate change, new diseases being introduced, other animals migrating into their habitats, etc. In fact, there's also been, in recent years, a lot of human interference. Pollution, global warming, and cutting down of rainforests are all affecting nature in a negative way. Sometimes, organisms just can't adapt quick enough to a new situation, and this is why some species go extinct.
Like all the dinosaurs.
Funnily enough, not all of them. Yet, most of the dinosaurs did go extinct, along with the pterosaurs, the flying reptiles, and a lot of the marine life as well. But in fact, one lineage of the dinosaurs survived. The birds. Birds are a direct descendant from the prehistoric dinosaurs, which means birds are dinosaurs. This means, when I eat my chicken nuggets, I've actually eaten dinosaur. Caw-caw! Dinosaur revenge! No, wait!
I did tell him to shut the window. Back on my planet, there's only like 5 different species, and one of them is like made of glass. There's an animal that starts off fully grown, and by the end of its life, it's regressed back into an egg. And then the egg explodes. We have this song on my planet, it goes, 10 green riffles sitting on the wall, 10 green sitting on the wall, and if one green would accidentally fall, then a would come along and eat it right up.